Hey guys, welcome back to our scenes. So in today's video, we'll be starting with the next chapter, that is chapter 7, Control and Coordination. So this particular video is more or less like the introductory chapter, and also we'll be dealing with the first main part in detail. Okay, so let's get started. Before making sense of the chapter, let's try to understand what does the term control and coordination mean over here. For example, imagine you are writing your notes dictated by your teacher. So you are doing two jobs at a time. That is, you are hearing what your teacher is saying and you are copying it down in your notes. So your ears are being put at work and your hands are being put at work, right? So how do you think your brain, two works at a time, two organs at a time, how do you manage to work it? How do you coordinate it? Listen, understand and write, right? So you are coordinating two jobs at a time. So similarly, you might have many more examples, okay? So how do you actually, how not only we, even animals, other animals, they too coordinate, right? So how does this coordination, how do you control this coordination? We are going to deal with all of those things, how your responses, okay, to the stimuli around you. We are going to understand those entire parts under this topic. So obviously we will be dealing over here with the mechanism where your muscular system and your nervous system will be involved. Okay, on the whole, the entire control and coordination, okay, is brought about by two main systems. One is your nervous system, okay, the main system where your brain is involved, and the other one is the endocrine system. Regarding endocrine system, we'll be seeing in the later on, in the furthermore videos. We won't be dealing with the endocrine system in this particular video. So endocrine system, if I just have to, give, just a hox, then endocrine system is nothing but which involves your hormonal system. Okay, so we'll deal with that later. We'll talk about your nervous system first. As we all know, our nervous system, it's involved of our brain and the entire set of nerves which runs through our body. Again, we have divisions over there which we'll be seeing later on. So let's talk about the basic concept over here. Whatever control and coordination takes place through nervous system, it will definitely involve our muscular tissues. Because whatever messages or whatever instructions, impulses is given by our nervous system, it has to be, we need an effector, we need something which reflects it, and that reflection is shown through our muscular tissues. Okay, if you are getting confused with the terminologies over here, okay, we can just take an example of a reflex arc, okay, a reflex action. When you touch a hot object, obviously you are going to lift it up. You are going to lift your hand as soon as you touch it. Okay, so here your muscles come into action. Okay, your muscles, suppose if my hand is touching the hot object, then the muscles over here will be affected. Whatever message is given by my nervous system that I need to save my hand from being burned, I need to pick my hand away. So that message is given to the muscles of my hand, because of which I'll just lift it out. So this is just an example to show you how control and coordination is reflected upon your muscular tissues. So your muscular tissues is a must. Okay, now regarding your nervous system, entire system is made up of tissues, right? So our nervous tissue is again made up of cells. So this, I guess, level of organization is already taught to you. Cells together, they constitute your tissue, and tissues together constitute organ, and organs together, they form your system or, organism, whatever it is. So in this case, our entire system, your nervous system, is made up of nervous tissues, which in turn is made up of cells. Specialized cells. This is not just any cell which you study, animal cell or plant cell, what you have been studying in your primary classes. For your nervous system is made up of very much specialized cells, and we call them as neuron. Okay, a very beautiful stick-like diagram. Okay, very easy to draw. This is our neuron. Okay, our nervous system is made up of this kind of cells. Okay, these are very, very tiny. They are not as big as shown over here. Okay, they are very tiny, and your brain and your entire nervous system is made up of such kind of cells. Okay, so now this nervous cells, okay, so see here the way of communication. We communicate in the form of a language, right? Similarly, our nervous system will communicate in the form of electrical impulse. Electrical signals is what they understand. Okay, so our nervous tissue will only, or our nervous system will send messages and receive messages only in the form of electrical impulse, electrical signals. And if at all they get any message in a different form, they convert it. They have a mechanism to convert the message into electrical signals, and then they start to circulate it. And that is the reason why it works very, very fast, right? So you touch a hot object, you lift it just the next second, even in a fraction of a second you lift it. How do you think the message travels to the brain so fast, so much fast, and it returns back with the message that you have to lift your arm from the given object? So it all happens in milliseconds, and to happen that we need a very faster functioning system, and that is all because of our the electrical impulse method. So next, see here, for our nervous system to work, we need receptors. Okay, and then comes our neuron, the nervous system, as well as the effectors. So effectors are normally our muscles. Okay, it might be the muscle tissue of any part of your body depending upon the stimuli and the response which you are supposed to get. So regarding receptors, we need to see what are these receptors. Receptors are present in your sense organs. We have got 5 sense organs, right? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and our skin. So each one have got their own receptor cells. Okay, each one's receptor cells are very different from one another because they sense different things. So we are going to see those things in detail first. So the first one here is ear. Ear have got phonoreceptors. Phono is referred to sound. So phonoreceptors are sensitive to sound. Okay, hence they work better for hearing and balancing of our body. Balancing of our body is actually a main a function which is not known by everybody, but if your ears are damaged, you won't be able to stand straight even, because your ears are very much necessary to balance your body. They balance the air pressure on both the sides. Okay, next comes your eyes. So obviously eyes are used for sightseeing. So, and we also know that eyes work only in the presence of light. So they have got cells which are sensitive to light, photoreceptors, which are needed for seeing around you. Then comes your skin. Okay, skin, you will feel everything through your skin. That is any touch, heat, cold. Okay, you have got pain receptors over there. Then you have got thermoreceptors. Thermoreceptors will actually help you in checking the temperature. So what kind of hot or what degree of hot or what degree of cold, you will have your own sense, and that is because of the thermoreceptors present in your skin. Okay, then next comes your nose. Nose have got olfactory receptors. Olfactory is referred to smell detection. Okay, so whatever if you are having any nerves or anything which is connected to your nose, they are named as olfactory. Then the last one, tongue. Tongue is responsible for taste, and such cells which are sensitive to taste, we call them as gustatory receptors. So these are our 5 sense organs with their own receptors. Okay. Next, let's talk about our neurons. See here, we had receptors as I said, we have got receptors, we have got effectors, and in middle falls our nerves or the neuron tissue. Okay, so effectors are nothing but muscular cells. Muscular tissues, I have already told you about it. Receptors we have dealt with. Now let's talk about our nervous part or the nervous tissue part. So to understand that, first we need to understand what is a neuron and how does a neuron works. Okay, unless and until you understand the work happening at the cellular level, it's very difficult to understand it on the whole. So we are going to see that first. As you have seen before, this is our neuron. Okay, if you are preferring a colored object, then this is supposed to be the neuron. Okay, so this root-like structures, what you can see at the top, they are called as the dendrite. Then at the center comes your cell body. This long tube running down is the axon, and this axon is again divided into root-like, nodule-like structures. We call them as nerve ending. So what is the job of each part? See here, this dendrite will acquire the information, okay, from the other neurons or from wherever it is going to gain it. See here at this ends, this kind of you'll have such kind of neuron at the top, at the bottom. Okay, so here you might have dendrites of other neuron, here you might have nerve endings of other neuron. That is how it is connected. Okay, and now the message is being passed from the other neuron to this neuron through dendrites. So the job of the dendrite is to acquire the information. Okay, and as said before, these informations are always in the form of electrical impulse. And if somehow, if at all, it's not the neuron which is connected, and if it is a sensory organ or sensory something, in that case what happens is they will convert, because of the chemical set off over here, it will be the message will be converted into electrical impulse and it will enter your cell body. From the cell body, the message is going to travel to your axon. From the axon, it will reach your nerve ending. From the nerve ending, again to the next neuron. Now, the most important thing what you need to know over here is, see here, this and this. Suppose this is the dendrite of another neuron. There is a gap between this. Okay, there is no, no connection like this. There is a gap here. And in this gap over here, what you have between two different neurons, whatever gap you have, we call them as synapse. Okay, so in this synapse region, you have got certain chemicals. What happens is whatever message, okay, suppose this is the nerve ending of another neuron, whatever message is coming over here, that electrical impulse, it is supposed to be an electrical signals, right? So this electrical signals will be converted into chemical signals over here, and again as it is entering over here inside this neuron, it is again converted into electrical signals. So here electrical signal, chemical signal, electrical signal. So in the synaptic region, you will have your information in the form of chemical signals, but inside your nervous tissues, it will be in the form of electrical signals. Okay, so this is how it keeps on running. So if you want to understand this concept better, the GIF which I am going to attach next to this will help you better to understand how this neuron works. Hope the concept is clear. Next, we'll be talking about responses. See here, whatever is present around us, the environment is filled with stimuli. Anything which triggers us to react is nothing but a stimuli. Okay, and to every stimuli there is a response. So the response from our side is of three types. Okay, voluntary, involuntary, and the last one is the reflex action. Voluntary is something which is controlled by us, which is under our willpower. So this particular one is controlled by our forebrain. Okay, the starting part of the brain or the forebrain. So like talking, writing. So whatever you do by your own wish, that is nothing but voluntary. If you want, you can do it. If you don't want, you will avoid it. So which is under your control, that is known as voluntary. Next one, involuntary. the opposite of voluntary. So involuntary is something which is not under your control and it happens on its own. Like for example, your heartbeat. Your heart does not beat with your will, right? So it will beat on its own and it will beat till it is supposed to do. Then vomiting. Vomiting sensation is something which you cannot stop. When it comes, it has to come out. When it stops, it has to stop. So this is something which is not under your control at all. The next one is respiration. You don't think, you don't will yourself to respire. It is happening as you are, going by your day, as you are doing all your work. It keeps on happening together and you don't feel tired about it. So that is involuntary. Regarding voluntary and involuntary, I can also, highlight a specific feature over here. The stuff which is voluntary, we get tired by doing it. Like we get tired by writing, we get tired by talking, we get tired by running, walking. We get tired. We stop doing at a point. We cannot go further on. But involuntary is something, since it is not under control, you don't get tired doing it. You are respiring since your birth, but you are not getting tired by respiring. Your heartbeat is, it's happening since you are in your mother's womb, but you are not getting tired with your heart beating continuously, right? So involuntary is something which does not make you tired at all because you are not using your willpower there, whereas voluntary is something which you will get tired about. And the last one, which we'll be dealing with in detail right now, that is our reflex action. This is entirely controlled by our spinal cord and it happens in fraction of seconds. Your reflex is what we call. Okay, the best example what we have been giving so far is withdrawal of your hand when you touch hot object. Suppose suddenly somebody comes and shouts near your ears, you will jump on all of a sudden. Right? So all these are your sudden actions. Suddenly whatever action you give, reaction you give, we call them as reflex action. So we are going to deal with this in detail. How does a reflex action occur and what is the pathway, the reflex arc? We are going to see that in detail now. As you can see here, this is the reflex arc diagram. Reflex arc is nothing but the pathway. Whatever for the reflex action, whatever path is happening, we call that as reflex arc. Okay, this is a diagram which is given in your textbook on page number 83. This is of your part 1 book. Okay, we're going to see what is actually happening over here. As I said, you have got receptors, you have got neurons happening, like exchanges in between, and then you have got your effectors. So as you can see here, you have got a hot object, okay, something which is boiling hot, and your hand is being touched. Imagine that to be your hand to understand better. Okay, so this is your receptor receiving the signal. Hence, it is your receptor, and your receptor is nothing but your skin. The part which is touching, only that part will be feeling it. So this part is the skin of this part, whichever is being, touched to the hot object. We call that part as the receptor. Hence, it is the skin over here. Now, as you're touching the hot object, since it is a very critical situation, what happens is the neuron which is connected over here, okay, we call that neuron as sensory neuron. The neuron which is present in your sense organs, okay, which is connected to your receptor cells, we call them a sensory neuron. It will take the message, okay, whatever it is feeling, it will take that message directly to your spinal cord. Your spinal cord is something which is present inside your backbone. Okay, behind your body, inside your backbone. Your backbone is, it acts like the best example what I normally give for your showing what a backbone is tube within a tube. Imagine this to be a backbone. The inside one is your spinal cord. Okay, so here the message is directly going to run to your spinal cord. Okay, this is the transverse section. Like if this is your spinal cord and if I cut this, so this is what this picture is about. Okay, this picture is this. So messages has reached your spinal cord. Okay, now inside your spinal cord you have got another neuron here, relay neuron. Okay, so before moving to the relay neuron, here what happens is the message, whatever has to have done, whatever has to be done, you know, obviously in this case you are supposed to lift your hand. So that particular message, again, it is converted here in the relay neuron, whatever is present in between this two neurons. Okay, the job of this relay neuron is the relay. You play relay, right? You just transfer the message. The message is being transferred from sensory neuron to your relay neuron, and from relay neuron it is being transferred to your motor neuron. So this motor neuron is something which runs from your spinal cord to the effector, your muscle which is supposed to effect. So in this case, the muscle of your hand is supposed to cause the effect. It has to contract and make your hand move. So the message will pass from sensory to relay neuron, from relay to your motor neuron, and from the motor neuron to your muscles of your hand. And because of this, you are going to lift your hand, and all this is happening in a fraction of second. When I say fraction, it is less than 1 second. Okay, so you can imagine how fast this is happening. If at all, imagine if at all this takes more than, you know, if this takes a very long time, then by the time the message reaches, it will reach your hand will be completely burned. But that is not going to happen because your reflex arc works in fractions of seconds. So this is about your reflex action. Okay, and explanation for each part. Hope you have understood the concept. In case of doubts, you can just leave me a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Till then, thank you for watching.